Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakahakudash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word and truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And the wicked are these so-called white people out here, who are actually the biblical Edomites, the border of wickedness in Malachi chapter 1, verse 4, and the wicked whom the earth has been given into the hands of in Job chapter 9, verse 24. And it's clear to see that the people are mourning with these Edomites in rulership. You've got depression at an all-time high, people committing suicide left and right, people more addicted to drugs and alcohol than ever before. The relationships between men and women just completely degraded with this Edomite pushing feminism, as well as the alphabet agenda beginning with LG. This Edomite gives people GMO foods, which gives them cancer. He pushes cell phone and Wi-Fi radiation, which further gives people cancer. He sprays chemtrails into the sky. He pours pollution into the oceans. He strip mines lands for their resources, hunts animals to extinction. The list goes on and on. If this devil was allowed to rule indefinitely, this entire planet would be turned into a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland. But all praises to the Most High that he set bounds that this Edomite cannot pass. And in this video, I'm just going to go into a few more examples to show that the people are mourning under the rulership of this wicked man, this Edomite. But as it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. The righteous being the true children of Israel, who are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And while the majority of our people out here are acting like the wicked, and people look at them as the wicked, once Israel is established in the kingdom of heaven, beginning with the elect, we're going to rule this planet under the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, and the planet will be at peace. But let's get into my few examples to further show that when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And I'll be profiling two videos from RT America's YouTube channel. The first titled, EPA Reapproves World's Deadliest Pesticide, Paraquat. And the second one, Baby poo contains 10 times more plastics than adults. Hey, and that's another thing with this Edomite and rulership pushing these plastics. You've got people and animals filled with microplastics, which leads to a lot of debilitating health effects. This is what you get when an unwise king or the wicked is bearing rule. This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach in the Apocrypha, chapter 10, verse 3. An unwise king destroyeth his people with deadly pesticides like paraquat and microplastics, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, when the righteous are in authority, the city shall be inhabited, the people shall rejoice. And when you go into that word prudent, it means acting with or showing care or thought for the future, which is exactly what this Edomite doesn't do. He doesn't care that he's got to breathe this air that he's spraying chemtrails in, drink the water that he's polluting, or live on the land that he's strip mining for its resources. He's a base man, the basest of men, and children of fools, as it says in Job chapter 30 and Daniel chapter 2. This man gave up his birthright for a piece of raw meat because he didn't have foresight for the future, knowing that that birthright meant everything. He was hungry at the time and couldn't fast it, so he sold his birthright to Jacob. This man, this servant, this base man, this son of fools has no right ruling. The only place you deserve to be is under the feet of the children of Israel in the kingdom of heaven, with chains on you as our slaves. But back to my first video.
The rest of the world is banning the toxic herbicide paraquat, but not here in the United States. We're actually expanding the use of it. Farron Cousins from Trial Lawyer Magazine joins me to talk about this. You know, I used to think that maybe the EPA was just totally incompetent. Maybe they didn't have enough funding. Maybe there was some problems similar to that. But now I've just concluded that they're corrupt and they're basically a criminal enterprise. I hope they
An unwise king destroyed this people. When the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
sue me for
This Edomite is a criminal, a thug, and a liar and a degenerate from the womb. As it says in Psalms 58 verse 3, the wicked are estranged from the womb.
that because I really want to take the depositions.
You know, it's really hard to come to any other conclusion than them just being this wholly corrupt organization, especially when you look at something like Paraquat, where they've known for years and years, our EPA, that this stuff is deadly, you know, that it can lead to Parkinson's, the strong link there, kidney problems, liver problems, you know, this is just as bad as all the other horrible herbicides. But our EPA, unlike the agencies all across the planet, says, well, there's really no alternatives to it, so we have to leave this on the market. And, you know, Biden came along recently and expanded the use and said, I know Trump said you can't disperse it through the air, you know, via airplane, but we're going to go ahead and let you do that. I'm Mr. Environmental Climate Change is Real President.
Exactly.
But here I'm going to poison people with this toxic chemical.
It's a pathetic, broken EPA, and it's a pathetic, broken promise by this president.
Yes.
It took me back to the time I remember Obama when he came in. He was running for office. I'm going to throw these Wall Street types in prison who have burned down our economy. You know how many went to prison? Zero. This guy, Biden, comes in office. I'm going to expand agencies to improve the health of the American public. First, and what he does is even that bumpkin, Trump, had enough sense to say, this is bad stuff. It's been banned all over the world. As a matter of fact, the countries that actually produce it, the UK, Switzerland, communist China.
The UK and Switzerland produce it, and those are Edomite nations. Hey, if you knew this shit was so bad, then why would you produce it? Hey, to make a profit, as this guy's about to say. So hey, just because those people banned it in their countries doesn't mean they're any better. This man is a complete demon. He destroys people, animals, and this earth just for profit, just for greed.
It is banned in those places. You can't use it. But our president tells the EPA, oh, go ahead and okay it. We want to spray it through the air. That's the story.
Right, these countries are making it, and they have enough good sense to say, we don't want our people exposed to it, but let's go ahead and ship it off to the dumb old Americans, because we know, because of the regulatory capture there, they're going to let this chemical go. We're going to keep making all the profits, and they're the ones assuming all the risk from it.
Yes. Now, here's the problem. It causes Parkinson's disease. It's an awful way to die. But all these people from Parkinson's disease, this is what they face. It causes kidney problems, liver problems. It's so bad that they're finding a trend where it's killing bees, it's killing birds. Migration of birds is being affected by it. We've known it for a long time.
An unwise king destroyed this people. When the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And as it says in Matthew chapter 24, except those days be shortened, no flesh would be saved. If this Edomite was allowed to rule indefinitely, like I said at the beginning of the video, this planet would be turned into an uninhabitable, desolate wasteland.
Time. The EPA has had this in their file cabinets for a long time. But nevertheless, they say, well, now we've got permission from the president, Biden, to say we now can spray it from the air. Here's the problem. There's something called drift. If they spray it on a field and your home or your business is within about 2,000 feet of where they're spraying it, you're exposed. 3 drops of this stuff can kill you. 3 drops. And it's not immediate. It's a slow, agonizing process because it causes Parkinson's disease. These folks that are all dressed up like this, average people working around it, they're not dressed like that. The farm worker that comes in over the border, they're expendable, right? We've talked about that.
Yeah,
you did a story on how expendable they were. That's what's happening here, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And another problem here, too, in the United States is that we rely on these industry front groups. And I believe with Paraquat, the Agricultural Handler Exposure Task Force, which was really Bayer, Monsanto, Corteva, FMC, Syngenta,
right.
People making this stuff. And they told the EPA, oh, we've got all these studies here that show it's totally safe. Use this instead of your real science. And so the EPA just says, okay.
They lied about the studies. I have the documents. Yeah. They lied about it. They phonied up the clinical data. The EPA never looked behind it. Total, absolute lies about the safety of this product. And the EPA still goes along with it. Now the White House is saying, yeah, that's okay.
Madness. Organizations run by criminals for criminals. That's it with my first clip. Here's my second one, again titled, Baby Poo Contains 10 times more plastic than adults.
Want to hear something gross? There's plastic in our poop. Yeah, that's right. Scientists have studied human poop to determine that we all have microplastics in us. Or rather, had them in us before we pooped them out.
And I mean, in what other point in history did people have microplastics in their shit? Hey, we truly are living in the last seconds of these last days, living in the basest of kingdoms ruled by the basest of men, the children of fools, the Edomites, that shit where they eat.
Want to hear something grosser? Babies have up to 10 to 20 times more of a certain kind of plastic in their poop than adults. Why is that grosser, you ask? Because there's nothing grosser than baby poop, obviously. Yes, according to a new study published in Environmental Science and Technology Letters Journal of the American Chemical Society, both adult and infant samples of poop studied had about the same average level of polycarbonate or PC microplastics, but the infant's poop contained up to 10 to 20 times higher concentrations of a microplastic called polyethylene terephthalate or PET microplastics. The scientists who conducted the research are funded by both the US and Chinese governments, who I'm assuming don't like to hear such things, so, the findings could be legit. The scientists posit that babies could be exposed to more of these kinds of plastics through their extensive use of products such as bottles, teethers, and toys, which makes sense. Because again, babies are gross, and they are constantly putting gross things in their gross little mouths, so that could be a legitimate conclusion too. Although the scientists say they need to do more research to figure out why babies are so gross.
And real quick, here's another example of Esau Edom's base rulership. This bugged out woman who grew up listening to feminist ideology through
full of plastic. This comes on the heels of the recent news that phthalates are causing babies to be born with smaller penises now too.
Wow.
Phthalates make plastics more flexible, and so manufacturers use them all the time in their products, including products that gross babies shove in their gross mouths.
All these different things are starting to sound awfully familiar to the Georgia Guidestones. Keep humanity under 500 million.
So, it was already bad enough that these plastics were shrinking their penises, but now to find out that they have 10 to 20 times more of the stuff in their poop than adults, well, that just makes it 10 to 20 times grosser. Beyond the shrinking penises, other research has shown microplastics can cause inflammation, cell shutdown, and metabolic issues. What's more, just because we found a lot in our poop doesn't mean we're getting rid of it. No. Chances are a lot of it is still accumulating in our organs, too. We don't poop it all out. For us adults who grew up in a less plastic world, that's one thing. For the babies growing up in today's world, well, let's just say if you've never thought about the fact that our modern world is causing us humans to evolve in ways we have yet to begin to imagine, now might be a good time to do so. Especially because some of those ways in which we are evolving might be pretty damn gross.
There you have it. Just another example of what happens when the wicked beareth rule. Just complete madness, degeneracy, and destruction going on out here. But hey, there's a silver lining to everything. The Most High has set up bounds that this Edomite could not pass, and he's just about reached them. And once he hits those bounds, he's going to be taken out of power and go into slavery under the righteous, the children of Israel, who are again the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and we're going to rule this planet in perfection under the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and the people will rejoice. This is Isaiah chapter 14. I'm going to read verses 5 to 7. Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked, the border of wickedness in Malachi chapter 1 verse 4, the wicked whom the earth has been given into the hands of in Job chapter 9 verse 24, the wicked bearing rule right now, causing the people to mourn, Esau Edom, the so-called white man. Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked. destroyed his kingdom and taken him out of power, and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, spraying a paraquat, a deadly pesticide that gives people Parkinson's disease, as long as a bunch of other debilitating health effects that also kills off bees and birds, as well as pushing microplastics onto people, which causes a whole other host of debilitating health effects. A guy that sprays chemtrails into the sky, pours pollution into the ocean, strip mines the lands for their resources, drops atomic bombs on people. The list goes on and on. He that ruled the nations is in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing, because in the kingdom of heaven the righteous will be in authority, so the people will rejoice, because we're going to rule this planet under the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. So there's going to be clean air, clean water, the land and people and animals are going to be in perfect harmony, the family structure is going to be back, everything's just going to be perfection. It's going to be like the Garden of Eden, but if you can believe it, even better than the Garden of Eden this time. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim out there were edified. Just keep strong and keep pushing this word. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites, the wicked. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.